We celebrate the 4th of July as a reminder of earning our independence from a tyrannical and oppressive government. Just a reminder to the Obama administration, there's plenty of room on the calendar for another holiday.
Of our basic freedoms are under sustained attack, not just here in the United States, but all over the world. But in its place, they're replacing our basic liberties with ninnying rights to be politically correct and obsess over destroying the right to language, the right to property, the right to our bodies. California vaccine bill battle erupts into all-out political war. There are major recall movements starting to remove members of the California House and Senate that passed a forced inoculation bill for school children. And now they have doubled down with 2 more bills to forcibly inoculate adults. They're not going to stop. And that's healthcare workers, and then anyone who's in contact with children. That'll be everybody. This is forced inoculation. You're like, well, I'll just leave California. Oh, really? You will. California is the model state for the takedown of the United States, along with New York, who's got forced inoculation bills advancing in their legislature. All over a few hundred measles cases where no one died. In fact, what smart people do, and what pediatricians, a lot of them privately do, they don't vaccinate their kids. One of the highest levels of unvaccinated is one of their kids will get the measles. They'll invite their neighbors over and others for a measles party so that the kids get it when their immune system isn't already run down. And so you barely even get a couple spots on your face and get 101 fever for a day. But they take normal things and basically make it like it's the end of the world. It's a victory of hype and hysteria. Honeybees kill a couple hundred, wasps kill hundreds, water moccasins kill hundreds, deer physically kill more than 10 people a year, ramming them with their antlers. Deer attack people. Elk attack and kill people. They kill hundreds jumping in front of your cars. But you're not scared of deer, you're scared of sharks that kill 5 to 10 people a year worldwide. And again, I go back to these examples because they're so key. But regardless of that, there's a whole nother debate about the vaccines. Most of the so-called vaccines are not classical vaccines where you take smallpox and kill it, or you take a virus and go in and radiate it, or however you break it, and then you put that in and the body learns how to respond to it, basically fighting a dummy. It's like training an attack dog, on a dummy. These new vaccines aren't vaccines. See, everything is playing on the public's ignorance. We sent Joe Biggs out yesterday in Austin, Texas, in a red, white, and blue suit, our reporter. The video's on Infowars.com. I'm going to have it added under the article that's on DrudgeReport.com. Citizens don't know what country we seceded from in 1776. And about 60% of the Austinites we talked to had no idea what Independence Day was even about. Those that did know, the 4 out of 10 or so, most of them had spotty knowledge. A few of them had very good knowledge. But you have to understand, if you get 60% of the public that don't know what Independence Day is, and they just hear, oh, people are getting measles, got to have a law to make everybody take shots. California is now mandating more than 20 vaccines. It's whatever the health department mandates, they then say is mandatory. Without a law, they engaged in fraud for decades all over this country and in Europe and Australia, saying it was the law when they had a waiver in their filing cabinet. And federal funding to the schools is tied more than anything, not to test scores. No Child Left Behind was just federalization, but it is tied to test scores. It's more tied to vaccination records and school attendance, The money's tied to those two things. You can fail your test scores for 3-4 years and not get your funding taken away. But you have attendance drop or you don't vaccinate, over 98%, your money is revoked. Same thing with the TSA announcing there's no law. They couldn't pass the Real ID Act fully. They passed part of it where they make the states adopt all the federal guidelines. So now they're just saying you can't fly with a state ID if your state doesn't comply with the feds. And then see, next, the feds can attach to having the state be under their federal auspices and the ID cards working and being accepted. That's the cashless society. That's an internal passport. That's a mark to buy and sell. The ultimate slave item. You see, slaves in ancient Rome and other areas had to carry little necklaces around their neck, wood or copper or iron, stating who owned them, and they had to carry a piece of paper with them on the business they were on with a seal. And if you got caught with a fake seal or a fake letter, it was death in the arena. Or you were sent to a lead mine or a salt mine or a copper mine or a gold mine to be worked to death. So all the new stuff we're getting, we've seen it before. You see, and when they have these newscasts, it's like, it's so wonderful. It's so easy that Colorado comply with the federal government. And now this lady who's not allowed to fly with her old license, she can go get a new one now and she's allowed to fly. And the TSA guy goes, well, don't have to get it. You just can't fly, and starts laughing. Ha, 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 ha. And you can buy or sell without it when they're done. They have announced, all the major think tanks decades ago, that you're going to have an ID card and a face scan and a thumbprint. You're going to put your hand down to buy and sell. All the new software coming out that deals with the internet from Microsoft, Google, Apple, you name it, has embedded already the thumbprint activation systems. You see most people with their droids and with their iPhones accessing them by thumbprint right now. You're like, oh, it's convenient. Oh, it's fun. Oh, it's easy. Yeah, but then once it's ubiquitous, they're going to attach it to track everything you do and make any transaction not tracked illegal. And then they could turn your digital number off and you will be done. And then, of course, the next move is purchasing by retina scan, face scan, or voice print. This has all been announced. Just like I told you they're coming with forced inoculation, now it's here. Here it is, Fox News. I was on syndicated radio shows, TV interviews, you name it, in the last 20 years, thousands of times. And hundreds of times, I would say, in the future, you will be taxed by the mile. They're going to keep the old gas tax as well. They will track everywhere you go. They're already putting boxes in that track your history. Soon it'll be a cell phone-based system that tracks everything. That's now in place. And the host would say that'll never happen in America, even though the boxes were being put in. All cars made globally for the last 6 years have boxes in them that track everywhere you go and what you do and dial in via cell phone to central networks. How do you think your GPS in a new car tells you where there's traffic and tells you where there's bad weather and everything else? Because it's tied in via a cell connection to a central database hub. And everything you do is tracked. And again, it's being done to totally enslave you. But remember the denial. They'll never tax you by the mile. TxDOT is rolling out Google cars meant to replace humans. They'll just keep raising the insurance rates on humans until we can't drive, unless you're a billionaire. That's the admitted stated plan. You have to understand, most of this broadcast is their stated objective. And let me tell you, they get their objectives done. They are 10 to 15 years behind, depending on the program, but they're catching up. And if we roll over during this process, we're done. But their propaganda to an awake person seems very juvenile, very mindless, like you're talking to a lobotomized, chimpanzee or something. But you have to understand, they're communicating with the public that doesn't know what Independence Day is. I predict that if you did a national poll, well, they've done them where college graduates can't listen to any founding fathers and don't know just anything, that probably half the public doesn't know what Independence Day is. And that's what we found in California and Texas. At universities, particularly, you find the stupidest people you've ever seen in your life. And that's because they're just going there to be milked for jobs that don't exist. So mom and dad can feel like they did a really great job and were great parents. Here it is. Oregon launches program to tax drivers by the mile. First it was, we'll let you opt into it. But now, no, we're going to just make you do it. David Hastings is a rare American. See how they always pitch it like it's really cool. It's really cool. This lady got her national ID card from the state. You got to have it to fly. It's really fun. Oh, it's really cool. This guy's a rare American. He was part of the, David Hastings is a rare American. This longtime hybrid car owner from Oregon wants to pay higher taxes for roads and bridges and says the current 30 cents per gallon state tax barely affects him. I've been freeloading. I mean, listen, this whole thing's written as a psyop. Bet this guy's a PR hack. I've been freeloading on highways for 20 years, driving electric cars or hybrid cars, getting at least 40 miles to the gallon. So I haven't been paying my share. And he goes into how he's opted in to be part of it in a U.S. program. And it will be mandatory within 3-4 years. Bet your bottom dollar unless you say no. Then they're going to take your cars completely away from you.
To celebrate the birth of our country and give a big thanks to all the info warriors out there, we are now offering free shipping on every item shipped out of the InfoWarsStore.com warehouse. That's free shipping on all t-shirts, books, and DVDs. Free shipping on Molon Labe and 1776 belt buckles, which are also 25% off while supplies last. Free shipping on all of our InfoWarsLife.com nutraceuticals. If it's in the InfoWarsStore.com warehouse, it's shipping for free, all during the month of July. It's our way of saying thanks to the true heart and soul of this operation, who stand beside us and support us as we wage an info war for liberty and freedom for all. InfoWarsStore.com. Free shipping for the month of July. We celebrate the 4th of July as a reminder of earning our independence from a tyrannical and oppressive government. Just a reminder to the Obama administration, there's plenty of room on the calendar for another holiday.
Of our basic freedoms are under sustained attack, not just here in the United States, but all over the world. But in its place, they're replacing our basic liberties with ninnying rights to be politically correct and obsess over destroying the right to language, the right to pronoun, with 2 more bills to forcibly inoculate adults. They're not going to stop. And that's healthcare workers and then anyone who's in contact with children. That'll be everybody. This is forced inoculation. You're like, well, I'll just leave California. Oh, really? You will. California is the model state for the takedown of the United States, along with New York. Property, the right to our bodies. California vaccine bill battle erupts into all-out political war. There are major recall movements starting to remove members of the California House and Senate that passed a forced inoculation bill for school children. And now they have doubled down. Who's got forced inoculation bills advancing in their legislature all over a few hundred measles cases where no one died. In fact, what smart people do and what pediatricians, a lot of them privately do, they don't vaccinate their kids. One of the highest levels of unvaccinated is one of their kids will get the measles. They'll invite their neighbors over and others for a measles party.